Hey everybody, welcome to BRITS.
Hello.
From me, BP1, as always, and BP2.
Over here.
Right, we've got another US one for you today. So we've done a few US ones.
Okay.
And one of the ones we did was about, when we're looking at different sizes states, or it came up as
Yep.
like Texas. And one of them was like huge. It was like John O'Groats to Land's End. That's how we look at it in Britain, from like corner of Scotland to the bottom left of England. And I just thought that's just huge for one state. So we've got one. How big is the USA actually?
Well, on the map it's about that big, isn't it? Normally,
yeah, on the globe. I've got a globe around here somewhere that I use.
About that big, and we're about that big,
and we're quite small.
So this is going to be insightful already, isn't it?
Yeah. We'll see.
All right. No, it's good. Yeah. That's like I say. I mean, just the vast land space. I mean, there's so much of it that's still empty. You're lucky to find anywhere empty round here, mate.
Yeah, exactly. I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Right. Let's go and have a gander at this then.
The United States is currently the world's sole superpower with military installations around the world. As a country, its geography spans from subtropical forests to rolling plains, scorching deserts, and Arctic wastes. But just how big is the US really in comparison to the rest of the world? Hello and welcome to another episode of the Infographics Show. Today, we're taking a look at how big the US really is. The US is approximately 5,680,000 square miles, with terrain that varies dramatically. Only Russia at 10.6 million square miles and Canada at 6,205,000 square miles are larger than the US. Its three biggest states, Alaska at 663,000 square miles, Texas at 270,000 square miles, and California at 160,000 square miles, combined would be the 17th largest nation in the world, immediately after Sudan at 1.15 million square miles, and right before Libya at 1 million square miles. In total, the US is larger than the 107 smallest countries in the world combined. With a
Right. Okay.
There's a lot of numbers going around there, weren't there?
Oh, there's more numbers than I've had when I was doing my maths at high school. I mean, it's big in those numbers, throwing around thousands of square miles, right? So it's big. I still can't really put that into context. I mean, I know roughly how big we are, but...
So I've just done that. So the UK is 94,058.3 square miles. 94,000, and he was coming up with 600,000.
Right.
So we're 94,000.
Well, no, he actually come up with 1 million. It was over a million, wasn't it?
Yeah.
For the whole US. All right. Okay.
For the whole US, I think he was saying that those ones there were 100,000, weren't they, or something? So we're 93,000 square miles.
So 107 of the smallest countries squished together still isn't as big as America. All right. Yeah. But then we know there are very small countries. All right, okay. Let's keep going.
About 327 million people, the United States is also the third most populated nation on Earth, having a total of 4.28% of the total world population. With a net yearly migration rate of approximately 900,000 people, the U.S. is by far the one place the rest of the world wants to live, with Germany coming in second at 350,000 migrants, and Turkey in third with 325,000 migrants.
Turkey in third?
The U.S. is 3% of the population.
But are they welcome? I mean, we've seen it in Europe.
Yeah.
With a lot of Eastern Europeans arriving in Germany.
Yeah.
And not particularly well
catered for.
Yeah.
Mind you, those ones coming over here on boats aren't exactly greeted with open arms. I mean, we've seen that sort of Turkey the third. That's quite interesting. I would have thought, maybe places like Canada and Australia. I'm sure Australia's a big one.
So we're about 4 years behind, but even still 4 years ago, you sort of be like, Turkey is an interesting one. Migration of people, and where are they coming from, and why are they going there?
Okay.
Interesting.
Anyway,
okay. I think he's just painting the picture on how big the US is as in population.
Yeah.
Population lives in cities, with its three most populated cities being New York City with 8.5 million people, Los Angeles with 4 million people, and Chicago with 2.7 million people. All combined, the population of the U.S.'s three biggest cities is equal to the population of Chad with 14.5 million people, Just these 3 cities alone are also more populated than Cuba with 11.5 million people, Belgium with 11.3 million people, and Greece with 11.2 million people. When counting the greater metropolitan area, New York City is the 10th.
Okay, that's
I know.
That's a figure that's the first figure that started to make me go, wow. Especially with the 8 million in New York, right? 8.5 million, whatever. That's not that far off the whole population of Greece.
No.
Belgium, I haven't been to Belgium as well. 11.3 million. I mean, that's a lot of people in one city.
So I've got 67.4 million for the UK.
67.4 was about right. What about London?
What
is the population in London? Just so I can put it, if LA is 4 million.
Yep.
And
8.9.
8.9 in London.
So in London alone.
London is bigger
so
than
New York is 8.41, Paris is 2.12, London is 8.982. Yeah.
No wonder it takes me ages to get around. When you walk,
no wonder it takes so long to get a pint.
Just bump into people consistently. You just think, how many people? Every time I go to London, it's just like it's alive. I know they say New York's never sleeps, but if you've been to London, I don't even think that's ever it's woken up, and I don't think it's ever. Well, it's just mental, isn't it? It's never sleeps.
Yeah, I mean, and let me just update that. I mean, so I went by the top one there, but actually, the population in London in 2022 is 9.5 million, and then the Greater London area covers 607 square miles, which is twice as big as New York City's 302.
Right. Okay. So
it's twice the size.
Twice the size.
But obviously New York is then more densely compacted.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's why it's so high, isn't it? London's not
all going up.
Tall.
Nope. But that's why it takes so long to get served in London.
Here we go.
11.2 million people. When counting the greater metropolitan area, New York City is the 10th largest city in the world, with a total population of 18.6 million people, just behind Cairo with 18.8 million people, and just ahead of Dhaka with 17.6 million people. This would make the greater New York City area the 63rd largest country in the world, just ahead of Syria with 18 million people. The U.S. is the world's largest economy, with a gross domestic product of $20.4 trillion, or 23.3% of the total global economy. China is just behind the U.S. at $14 trillion, and 16.1% of the total global economy. When measured by purchasing power parity, or the price of goods and services versus individual incomes, the U.S. comes at number 2 to China, whose GDP PPP is $25.2 trillion. This means that while the Chinese economy is about 30% smaller than the US's, Chinese individuals have on average 20% greater purchasing power in their own country. The 3 biggest economies within the U.S. states are California with a GDP of $2.6 trillion, Texas with a GDP of $1.6 trillion, and New York with a GDP of $1.5 trillion. Altogether, these 3 states would be the world's 3rd largest economy, just ahead of Japan with a GDP of $5 trillion.
So just those 3 states
would
be the 3rd biggest economy in the world.
Yeah.
Which shows how much, obviously, America rely on those 3 states for a start.
Yes.
But, just those 3 states alone, I mean, 3rd in the world. It smashes everything, really.
Yeah. And as you say, I mean, it's just staggering. But you could see there with the China were ahead on their GDP.
Yeah.
So,
PB.
but again, that's all relevant, isn't it? I mean, there are a lot of people with lots of money, and then there's lots of people with nout.
Yes, lots of people with nothing. Yes, there's certainly a swing in the old rich pool.
Total GDP for the UK is 2.7 trillion.
Okay, so
2.7. So we're Florida.
Florida?
I think that was that 2 point
New
something?
York. Well, you had New York, didn't you? There.
Texas was
California.
California, 2.6.
So the GDP from California is the same as is Britain in total.
In total.
Wow.
There you go.
Wow.
A lot of oranges in California, though.
These 3 states would be the world's 3rd largest economy, just ahead of Japan with a GDP of $5 trillion. California's economy alone is as big as the United Kingdom.
There you go.
Texas's is as big as Canada's. And New York's is as big as South Korea's. The United States also has the best equipped military in the world.
Yes, we done that on the last video,
at
didn't we?
1,282,000 active duty personnel. Ahead of it are India with 1.4 million active duty personnel and China with 2.1 million active duty personnel.
I think we're about 80,000.
Spends over $610 billion on its military.
2.1 million military.
That's ridiculous, isn't it?
Wow, that is extortionately high. I mean, wow. Okay, they must just force people into it, surely. In those sort of numbers, surely in China.
China, yeah, you haven't got, you don't get much of a
lot of choice,
not a lot of say in that. That's probably a compulsory. I think the UK's army is about 80,000, if that. Now you could get them into Wembley, I think. It's nothing at all, really. And yet we seem to sort of turn up everywhere where it's dust up going on. Yeah, we'll get involved.
610 billion
military expenditure, 610 billion squids.
Every year, or 3.1% of its total GDP, 35% of the world's total military expenditure, and more than the next 9 nations combined. Just behind it are China with $150 billion in expenditures, and Saudi Arabia with $76 billion in expenditures. The United States also has the most military bases in the most foreign countries in the world, with approximately 800 military installations in 80 countries, possibly more military bases in more foreign lands than any nation or empire in history. The cost of maintaining these bases alone is about $156 billion, more than China spends on its entire military. On the civilian side, the U.S. has the world's 3rd largest police force, with 913,000 total police officers, placing it just behind India at number 1 with 1.9 million police officers.
Again,
and
they got a lot of people there.
6 million police officers. In the realm of healthcare, the U.S. is the most expensive nation on Earth, with a health expenditure per capita of $10,300.
We've done the
video. We have some interesting comments on that as well.
And Germany at $5,550. While on average the rest of the world spends about 10.3% of its GDP on healthcare, the US spends 18% of its GDP on healthcare. The United States is a large, complex nation, big enough to host several different distinct accents within its own borders. Its people are hardworking and industrious, leading the world's economy. But despite what recent political events might indicate, they're also the most welcoming nation in the world, with 3 times the number of immigrants than nations in either the number 2 or number 3 spot in a global comparison.
See, immigrants to the US must be a hard thing to get to.
Immigration into it,
unless it's coming from Canada or Mexico.
There's a
long bit of water. Yeah, the land borders, because there's a lot of water to go across from this side.
Yeah, but when we're saying
across,
but when you say immigration, it doesn't mean that just sort of illegal immigrants. You can get people coming from America, flying over and setting up
for
shop
a
person.
Over there. I mean, you get a job, or you've got the right statistics, criteria. Whether it's healthcare, computing, whatever, that the US go, we need more people like this.
Yeah,
that's like an immigrant. You're immigrate, going to immigrate to America and setting up and having a new life.
The US isn't the only welcoming place in the world. We've never felt more welcomed than when we signed up with Wix to build a website.
Here we go. Well,
cheeky little monkey.
He's chucking in there. I think
we never felt so welcome by all of our lovely subscribers that live in the US.
All you wonderful, wonderful people that have come with us. But again, this is, if you are in the US, you'll know that you're watching us, and we're Brits, and we just don't understand. Yeah, we don't comprehend the sort of size. I've grown up in a small town, with little towns near it, and then everything's quite close. So for me, if I say, it's about a 45-minute journey, it's a bit of a trek or whatever. It's not that much of a trek, but it's to sort of comprehend how far the US and how big it is, because I know that you know, when you watch football over here, most of the grounds you can get up to in a day. If you were going to Newcastle or something, you might stay over or something like that. But in the US, you would have to fly, number one,
just
and
to
it
get
could
there.
be hours on a plane, as opposed to, you know, we can get from the local airport here up to Edinburgh in under 2 hours. So
I think, like you say, getting your head around the figures is a big thing, isn't it? Just sitting down and having those comparisons that we were doing as we were going along. You know, how does that compare to the UK? How does that compare to London? Then you sort of slightly get your head around it.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, some other figures for you, just for a bit of a thing for the channel. If you want to come and join us at BritPop's React, we have got a Patreon site. Which you can come and look at. We've got some extra, BP2's lost there. A couple of extra bits on there, early releases and stuff like that on the channel. A couple of dollars gets you a bit more access. Now, I enjoyed that video. Again.
Yeah. Again,
I do enjoy these little US videos that we do, because it's just understanding the country a little bit more, the size, the people.
Yeah.
I know some of it. I know the last one, there was about, I think it was 17... different things in America that Americans do and stuff, and everyone was, it's a bit generic. I get that.
Yeah.
We're generic people.
I mean, you know, and as you say, I think some of those were sort of meant to shock, but they didn't really. And then looking through the comments, you know, we had comments from people living in America saying, "Oh, you know, that doesn't relate to us" or whatever. But it was okay. It was good to have a bit of a fun conversation around it. And same with this one, you know, again, just sizes, comparisons, all good. All good gravy.
All right, well, thanks for joining us at BritPop's React. Until tomorrow for another reaction. It's goodbye from me.
He's gone.
You're gone.
Literally.
I went early.
Like that. Goodbye from him and all. Later.
That landmass, mate. It's that landmass compression.
He's a 20th century boy.